Hello, it's 9 p.m. in RTD. It's time to English New Edition for tonight headlines. We have the head of state presides over the fourth edition of the National Week of Disability. The United Nations will need a record of 51.5 billion in 2023 for humanitarian. Welcome to our newsroom. Under the high patronage of the President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, the National Agency for Persons with Disability celebrated this morning at the People's Palace the ceremony of the fourth edition of the National Week of Disability. This August ceremony served as a framework to build on the efforts made in recent years for the protection of the right of people with disability through the program that aimed to identify people with a special need to facilitate their access to programs and social benefits. Upon his arrival at the People's Palace, the President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, was warmly welcomed by the Prime Minister Abdulqadir Kamil Mohammed and the Director of the National Agency for Disabled Persons, Douale Said Mahamoud.
دفت بلدي نولا وابشي برشدان لقيتني وابشي برخديو ايانكيو وابشي برشد علمك وابشي قالني
Visited the different exhibition stand of product and achievement of people with special need, and this is illustrate the attachment and commitment of the government under the leadership of the President of the Republic for the inclusion of people with reduced mobility and vulnerable people, and to promote equality for all Djiboutians. This fourth national edition for people with disability comes at the right time as it reflects the determinations of the head of state, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, to find solutions to the various problems and challenges of people with special needs and create an environment where they can flourish and find their place in society.
انت بايقار بلدي لك هو بقر كي نسيه بلداتي يا ورقن كيلا قلي إلى شرف كوهلي بالوين انت افريقيا انت بايقار بلدي لك هو بقر كي نسيه.
This ceremony of the celebration of the fourth edition of the National Week of Disabled People was a convivial moment and rich in emotion. The event brought together in the auditorium of the People's Palace, besides the President of the Republic, the General Director of the NPH, Mr. Douale Said Mahamoud, Prime Minister Abdulqadir Kamil Mohammed, members of government and parliament, representative of the diplomatic and consular corps accredited to Djibouti, hundreds of young people with disability, as well as several UN officials. On the menu of this ceremony were folkloric and cultural dances and songs, but also theatrical plays that recounted the efforts undertaken by the head of state to improve the living conditions of people with disability. Indeed, this morning's ceremony was an opportunity to demonstrate the different programs developed by the National Agency for People with Special Needs to implement a strategy to strengthen the legal framework to improve the living conditions of the disabled people.
maanta maanta tilmaanta hogaamintaada
waxay toos kugu amaatay tallaabada geedigaaga
tusmaynta horow markaaga diirka nabaday ku joogto dinniyo cidhib waxay bulshadu agtaada u taagan tahay
taageerada kugu hayso waxtarkaagay og tahay
dinniyo cidhib waxay bulshadu agtaada u taagan tahay
taageerada kugu hayso waxtarkaagay og tahay
The representative of the United Nations system in Djibouti, Jose Barahona, said that today I am honored to participate in the commemorations of the International Day of Persons with Disability as the fourth edition of the National Person with Disability Week has been concluded in the country. This day aims to promote the rights and welfare of people with special needs and also to participate in employment opportunities. This issue is central to the development goal towards increasing the rights of people with special needs. This is the reason why the United Nations is working to support the people who are in need, while the Republic of Djibouti has ratified the convention based on the protection of rights. The government of Djibouti is committed to the development of the rights of people with special needs, and the President of the Republic, Ismail Omar Guelleh, has given a special priority to people with special needs. The General Director of the INPH, Mr. Douali Said Mahamoud, said that this fourth edition is organized by the National Agency for People with Disability comes at that time when the integrations of people with special needs at all levels of Djiboutian society is implemented with the schooling of children and also the insertions in the employment spheres. The national legislation is in favor of disabled people has strongly evolved in recent years. For his part, the head of state, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, has indicated that here we are once again gathered today for the National Disability Week, which has become a regular event. When we talk about disability, we are not talking about a simple public policy or cause that we defend because it is decent to do so. Rather, we are talking about a Republican desire for common people's inclusion in living together. That's why I do not want National Disability Week to be seen as an isolated moment, but rather as a constant reminder of how far we still have to go of our capacity to innovate, to adapt and to progress. Certainly much has been done. You are all aware of the major steps that have brought us here. The text is signed, the strategies adopted, the laws passed, but these actions are, in my opinion, only the beginning of an ambitious approach and a starting point for a collective commitment to an inclusive society. Ladies and gentlemen, as they say, prevention is better than cure. Today, medicines allows us to avoid, for example, for children, the occurrence of a certain disability, to stop their progression or at least limit their medical and social consequences. This prevention takes place on two levels. First, during pregnancy, by improving the quality and quantity of prenatal examinations to detect high-risk pregnancies, raising awareness of teratogenic drugs, the danger of the consumer harmful products such as chicha and tobacco, the prevention of forms of prematurity. Our objective, ladies and gentlemen, has always been to move forward in a methodological manner. First of all, we have for a long time worked on the very conceptions of society on disability. We have in fact broken down the barriers, eliminated the taboo and the wall of indifference. Then we have worked on the integrations of people with special needs at all levels of our society, among others through the schoolings of children and the insertions in the employment sphere.
Ou encore des facteurs favorisant les accidents vasculaires, le port du casque pour le motocycliste.
The head of state Ismail Omar Guelleh said, however, building the society we want requires more, it deserves more. To do this, we must move for integrations to inclusion, and this process begins, in my opinion, in the school where children with disability rub shoulders with the other children every day. This allows them as much the children with special needs as the others to broaden their horizon, to be more open and to accept more easily the one who is different, to weave bonds. What we want today is a society that adapts to people with disability, not the other's way around. We want a society that meets these fundamental requirements of equal opportunities, a society that is accessible to everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, as a disability has a transversal dimension, is the integrations of the INPH in the steering committee of development project and programs is an imperative. The INPH will thus be able to make use and its expertise and data in the file in order to better adapt these programs to the specific needs of people with disability. I have already said it, and I repeat it, that disability must from now on become a real reflex in public actions. It is in this spirit that we have set up a National Technical Committee in charge of designing, implementing, monitoring, and evaluating the national strategy because of its interministerial dimensions, that this committee lays the foundations for better collaboration between all the stakeholders involved in the disability care, because success comes from their ability to work together. Finally, I would like the National Technical Committee, which according to its mandate must meet twice a year to provide me with the annual report on the systematic monitoring of the application texts, the progress made, and the challenges encountered. I cannot conclude my remarks without expressing my gratitude to all the partners, whether national, bilateral, or international, for their unfailing support.
D'application, les avancées et les défis rencontrés. Je ne saurais terminer mes propos sans exprimer ma gratitude à tous les partenaires qu'ils soient nationaux, bilatéraux ou internationaux, pour leur soutien sans faille. Je vous remercie.
The head of state Ismail Omar Guelleh continues his speech. In Somali, we are here to celebrate the International Day of People with Special Needs. I say to you, first of all, congratulations. The celebrations of this day is everyone's business. The whole society is with you. I also congratulate the organizers of this day who have worked hard to make this great event happen. This is an opportunity for me to reaffirm our determination is to work towards what, by the way, guides my vision is for the inclusions of people with disability and other vulnerable people, and thus promote the equality of all Djiboutians. Every person is God's creation in his infinite wisdom, whether he is a person with special needs and not. We must carry this spirituality as an adventurous of human freedoms for it. So me who decide that the meaning we will give to our life, where we make the choice of the fundamental values that will guide our actions. I am speaking to the mothers here. Disability is not always easy to live with for a mother who has a child. I share your pain. I know how much your task falls to you, but we are almost there. We remember a young man suffering from paralysis all his life, who became a teacher at the University of Djibouti. He has passed away now, ranked among the best. These mothers and sisters accompanied him to his success. Today, in the public administrations, there are executives with reduced mobility who have done university studies. It is our responsibility as a government to provide all necessary medical care to these people. I hope that we can continue our commitment to a society that works for equal opportunities.
rajaynayna inaan halgan weeyaan waxaan inaan halganka sii wadno ilaahay ku tala galno islaamnimadeena naqweynaysa iyadana adkeynaysa iyada qadarka iyo qadaagaba nagu ajburaysa ama noo tilmaamaysa ama na baraysa annaguna waajibkeena waxa uu yahay in aan u adkeysano aan ka saarno maskaxdeennaba inuu qofkani qofka ka duwan yahay ilaahay hana garansiiyo baan leenahay assalaamu calaykum waraxmatullah.
At the end of the ceremony of the National Week for the Disabled People, the President of the Republic proceeded to the presentation of the President Award to several people who were distinguished themselves by their dedications and their work to people with special needs. These awards of the President of the Republic aims mainly to highlight those young people, women and men who have dedicated their lives and their daily lives to facilitate the lives of these people with disability. This mark of esteem of the President of the Republic for these citizens who work every day for the cause of the disabled through their project, their support and their programs of the integration of these people is a perfect illustration of the attachment of the President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, expressed his sad condolence and the assurance of his compassionate solidarity to his counterpart Xi Jinping and all the friendly Chinese people, deploring the deaths which occurred on Wednesday of the former President of China, Jiang Zemin. The people and government of Djibouti join me in expressing their sympathy and friendship to the Chinese nation in the difficult ordeal of the death of one of its most illustrious leaders in the contemporary world, wrote President Guelleh in the telegram sent to Mr. Xi Jinping. The late Jiang Zemin will long remain engraved in the collective memory of the world society for his pragmatic intelligence, his ingenious creativity, and his unparalleled ability to anticipate major events in history. The head of state noted in the same document that the late Jiang Zemin, who passed away on Wednesday at the age of 96, was a statesman who rose through a series of important positions, including Mayor of Shanghai, Vice Ministers, and General Secretary of the CCP, before leading the Chinese Supreme Court, where he served for a decade from 1993 to 2003. The new member of the Independent National Electoral Commission were sworn in today, Thursday, December 1st, by the President of the Constitutional Court, Mr. Abdi Hersi. The Senate is called upon to conduct the legislative electoral process that will take place on February 24 and to do so independently and impartially in accordance with the international norms and standards for free, transparent, reliable, fair, and credible elections before, during, and after the elections. Finally, it is worth noting that just after being sworn in, the members of Seni voted to elect their new chairman, Mr. Hanan Ali Medals, was nominated at the prefect. The commission is composed of different executives from the 5 regions, namely Arta, Dakhil, Ali Sabih, Tajabra, and Obok. The Republic of Djibouti participated in the 22nd Summit of the World Travels and Tourism Council held from 28 to 30 November 2022 in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. The Djibouti delegation was led by the Minister of Trade and Tourism, Mohamed Warsama Diriye. The minister was accompanied by an important delegation composed of the Ambassador of Djibouti in Saudi Arabia, Diaidin Said Bamakrama, the Secretary General of the Ministry of Trade and Tourism, Ali Dawood, and the Director General of the National Agency of Tourism, Mr. Osman Abdi Mohammed. Mr. Ahmed Mohammed Omar, Technical Advisor of the Ministry of Trade and Tourism. This international summit, organized by the World Trade and Tourism Council in collaboration with the Saudi Ministry of Tourism, was attended by the 55 Minister of Tourism, as well as high-ranking personalities such as the former Secretary General of the United Nations, Mr. Ban Ki-moon, as well as public institutions and private professional operators of the tourism and travel sector. The main objectives of this meeting was to strengthen the resilience of tourism in order to allow the sustainable development for this sector in the world, which has been greatly disrupted by the crisis of COVID-19. On the sidelines of this summit, a cooperation agreement for the development of tourism between the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the Republic of Djibouti was signed by the Minister of Trade of Djibouti, Mohamed Warsama Diriye, with his Saudi counterpart, Mr. Ahmed Al-Khattab. Early in the day of Thursday, December 1st, 2022, the barracks of the Navy hosted an important ceremony of completion of training for 38 staffs of the Navy, including 20 trainees for the specialty Timone navigators and 18 others in the specialty of mechanical naval. This ceremony, colorful, was chaired by the acting Chief of General Staff of the Armed Forces, General Tairo Ali Mohammed, who was welcomed by Colonel Ahmed Daher Jama'a, Commander of the National Navy. The ceremony was also attended by Colonel Major Mohammed Qayad Gele, Deputy Chief of Defense Staff, Colonel Wa'ais Omar Bogore, Commander of the Coast Guard, and the highest officials of the Djiboutian Armed Forces. These trainings were conducted within the framework of strengthening the naval capabilities of the National Navy on the directive of Lieutenant General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim, are part of the trainings of Cycle 2022. Thus, the best of each discipline could benefit from a letter of congratulation in addition to the certificate of training for their merit and their dedications after weeks of sacrifices and courage. Finally, the ceremony will end with the presentations of gifts and the photos that will immortalize the moment.
كل آمن بالله وملائكته وكتبه ورسله لا نفرق بين أحد من رسله وقالوا سمعنا وأطعنا غفرانك ربنا وإليك المصير لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها لها ما كسبت وعليها ما اكتسبت ربنا لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا أو أخطأنا ربنا ولا تحمل علينا إصرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا ربنا ولا تحمل ما لا ضاقت لنا به واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين صدق الله العظيم
qaadki noloshiyo eebadii dagaalkiyo indhihiina tagay ma og tahay askariyo asaaskii nabadiyo abaabulihi guushi ambaqaadki noloshiyo eebadii dagaalkiyo indhihiina tagay ma og tahay askariyo adduunyada dhammaanteed udubkoodii
Colonel Ahmed Daher Jama, commander of the National Navy, said that the government of Djibouti has adopted a strategy based on the security of the regions, and the government of Djibouti has put a lot of efforts into ensuring the security of the coast. This opportunity is part of the strengthening the quality of knowledge of young people who are new to the countries, and this training was provided by the French people as a result of the cooperation between the French government in the file of the country. We are grateful to the countries that always help us with the military training, such as France, US, and Morocco. On Tuesday, November 28, 2022, Colonel Wais Omar Boghore, commander of the Djiboutian Coast Guard, welcomed in the Lounge of Honor and the Directorate of the General Administrations of the Djiboutian Coast Guard, Colonel Kishida Takeshi, Director of the Offices of the Counter-Piracy of the Japan Coast Guard. As part of the official visit, Colonel Wais Omar Boghore took this opportunity to present the delegation led by Colonel Kishida Takeshi, the missions and operational capabilities of the Djiboutian Coast Guard, as well as the infrastructure and facilities of the institution. At the end of the presentation, a rich discussion was established between the two parties who raised points of common interests in the field of security and maritime safety of the Red Sea and the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, as well as ways and means to strengthen cooperation and collaboration between the two institutions. Colonel Kishida Takeshi expressed his total satisfaction following the meeting and praised the warm welcome. He was honored with the recognition of the important role that the Djibouti Coast Guard plays in the security and maritime safety of the Gulf of Aden and the Bab el-Mandeb Strait regions, and praised the dazzling development of this institution since its creation. The visit ended with the traditional exchanges of gifts. For the international scene, humanitarian aid, UN will need a record of $51.5 billion in 2023. The United Nations launched on Thursday, December 1st, a record appeal for $51.5 billion for humanitarian aid in 2023 to assist 230 million people worldwide. UN humanitarian agencies will need $51.5 billion next year to increase an increase of 25%. This fund will enable them to finance their programs to help 230 million people of the most vulnerable people in the 68 countries. Next year will be the largest humanitarian programs ever launched at the global level, said the head of the UN humanitarian agency, Martin Griffiths. However, the UN is not helping all the people in need. A total of 339 million people around the world are expected to need emergency assistance next year, compared to 274 million in 2022. This is it for the news. Thanks for watching us. Have a good evening.